We're here with Mr. Silent7, aka Cliff, my dear friend. He talked with Black, Yellow, Luffy, and Mesquite. He was the top 8, right? Top 8. And he's gonna give us his deck recipe, and we're just gonna take it to him.
All right, guys. So again, hello, my name is Clifford, Silent7. Believe most of you would have seen me on the stream in the top 64 match versus the Odin matchup. Very good guy. Amazing match to go into, especially since I had no exposure. But yeah, I piloted to a top 8 finish. This is all of the prizing here. And the leader that I ended up running was, again, Black, Yellow, Luffy. My choice for using Black, Yellow, Luffy, with this being the 6.5 format, essentially, no Sakazuki, which was this deck's greatest weakness. Luffy has a great matchup into Black, which I expected a lot of, and honestly, for my last few rounds, that's all I was facing was Moria decks. Finally, the one in top 8 did get me at the end, but yeah, so I knew it was going to be a lot of Moria, a lot of Red Purple Law, a lot of Uda, so I knew what the expectation for at least the most decks were going to be. And because this has such a good spread versus, road decks as well for the most part, it made sense to run this over Red Purple Law, which was the other deck I was considering running. But at the end, I wanted to have the deck that had the best matchup spread, and Black, Yellow, Luffy definitely did qualify for that. So as far as the deck, you start out here with 4, actually I'll put them up here. We'll start off with 4 Garp Searchers, essential to the deck. Really nothing else really to add on that. It's just to be able to search out our pieces, search out our combo pieces, and be able to do the Black and Luffy things that it wants to do. Next up is going to be my 2Ks. So we have 4 Hioris, 4 Charlotte Blancpays, and then I had a split of 2 Perona and 2 Makinos. So the Hioris, very, very simple, allows me to manipulate my life to put the 5 cost into life and then be able to play the baby behind it in order to bring it out if need be. The Blancpays, amazing for, again, taking my own life and getting that extra draw power on top of it. The split between the Makino and the Perona. So first with the Perona, as you'll see later on, I do play 2 Thunderbolts, and there was certain lines of play where I could bring out the Perona, give the monster or the character -3, and they'd be able to pop it with the Thunderbolt. So there was synergy there. There's also synergy with being able to bring this back via Gecko Moria if I didn't have other qualified options in my discard in order to, whenever I activate his effect. So that was her purpose for being there. And then on top of that, it is good to be able to get a card out of hand as well and being a 2K. For the Makino just allowed me again to take my life, but then to also be able to manipulate it. So if there were 5 costs that were in the life, I was able to sit there and know my turns ahead of time and be able to bring those out. What it also allowed me to do in certain situations is if I did go to see like a event, or if I did see a Thunderbolt, a lot of the times after I mock those, my opponents tended to attack, and so they would attack right into the Searcher event, or they would attack right into the Thunderbolt. So she was good for the life manipulation, and I was glad I kept her at 2. Next up, we have the Problem Children, which are 4 Porcas the Ace, Portgas the Ace, 4 Sabos, and then 3 Monkey D. Luffys. So again, these are just the babies that again Garp is searching out in addition to the 5 cost in order to sit there and activate the effect to give the plus 2,000 and bring him from life so that Black Yellow Luffy can do what it does best. The reason why I went with a 4-4-3 spread is because the Sabo and the Ace, especially in this format, the Sabo and the Ace were the most powerful or the most important babies to get, with the Luffy being the least important. So I was able to at least cut one and be able to add in again some additional tech cards like the Thunderbolts or whatnot. So with this spread, it worked out very, very well. I will say my last game that I did lose against the Moria, I was begging for a Luffy because I had put it into my life. with no way of removing it. And if I just had one of the babies engraved, then I would have sat there and probably, fared better with that one. I did end up losing to the eventual winner, so congratulations to Jerry if you're seeing this video. Great match with you, my dude. So these are, again, the babies here. And then we have the menacing adults, which are 4 is the ace, 4 Sabo blocker, and then 4 Lucky D Luffys. Again, we're just using these to using the babies to grow into the 5-cost bodies. The aces, again, really clutch in this format. Being able to rush down the Moria players. The Sabos, again, very important. In the black matchup, whenever I was able to cycle this Sabo, I just felt like I couldn't lose. In my last match, both my game 2 and my game 3s, I was not able to get to him, and it just hurt because the Moria player just kept popping by bodies that were out there that weren't protected by him. So in the black matchup, Sabo is important to be able to cycle it and just keep that KO protection, and you really just can't lose versus black when that happens. And then the Luffys, of course, our big 8K body allows us to also take our own life and be able to swing big. So this was the spread that I went with as far as the 5 costs. Next up and last character, again, Big Bad Moria here. Moria allows us to sit there and get back our little babies in order to grow them up and then be able to do the effects to give the Luffy the 9,000 attack power. Again, I put in the Perona because it does have synergy with me bringing, there was a time I did bring out Moria just to bring back out Perona and a Garp, and I was able to surge and take a card out of hand. So that's the reason why, again, having that Perona in there was key, because there were times where I was just ahead and I had Morias in hand, and it's like, well, I got to do something with them, and be able to bring those out did help. And again, in addition to bringing back out your babies in order to grow them up. Last up, it's going to be the events. It's going to be the three Brothers Bond events. 4 felt like it may have been a little bit overkill, especially since I'm able to just cycle the Sabos and whatnot. So I think a 3 spread is fine. If you even play 4, it's fine as well. I do think the next evolution of this does probably need to just run 3, because there's going to be some tech options that you may want to sit there and add in. Speaking of tech options, we ran with 2 Amaru and 2 Thunderbolts. So let me start with Amaru. I feel like that this is important for Black Yellow Luffy moving forward, just my personal opinion. Being able to rest those 4 costs and be able to give something 3,000 was massively huge. I was able to rest Borsalinos. I was able to rest Rebecca's. I was able to rest Shirai's. List goes on and on, but a lot of 4-cost blockers where people felt like they were going to be protected, I was able to just Amaru rest it and be able to go in for games. So this was the best, like, this is the best finisher. Thunderbolts holds a special place in my heart. If you saw on the stream versus my Odin player, I did trigger the Thunderbolt out of life, which let me get his Ezo. If that hadn't happened, I guarantee he would have won that second game, because with that Ezo is established and with the board that he had, he would have been able to just sit there and just attack aggressively and wipe me out before I even get to my combo off. So this coming out of life was very clutch. It was a decision between either Thunderbolt or Sabos. The Thunderbolts did allow me to be a bit more flexible, because I was able to, like on 7 Dawn turns, which are really awkward, I was able to Thunderbolt characters and still play a 5 cost behind it. Or even on my 9 Dawn turns, if I'm able to get online, again, I can sit there and Thunderbolt, take my last wife, and then get my Luffy online and be able to play the babies or whatnot. So the Thunderbolts are really key. I am going to miss this card because we do get our Rocket Luffy release. But for the weekend, this was absolutely clutch. So that is the decklist spread that I had ran in Mesquite.
So what is some of the changes that you're gonna do for the OPO7 format? Or like, are you gonna keep running Black Yellow Luffy or changing your leader? I just wanted to know, like, your plans for the next format.
Cool. To be honest, I really have a black player at heart. I know Luffy is a yellow leader. Like what he does, he's a yellow leader. But I will float between this, Lucci, and maybe some red, purple, law. But for sure, as far as the changes for this deck, I do feel like there's a universe for Luffy, Black Yellow Luffy, to be a more control-based deck, possibly. I think it's really going to be dependent on the meta, because Bonnie is going to be this deck's worst matchup. I apologize. Bonnie's going to be this deck's worst matchup by far. Not only because of the kids, if they do play them, but also because of that 9-cost Zoro. So because of that, you ask yourself the question of, do you want to make it more of a control style deck where you're adding in 4-cost Kuzans, 10-cost Kuzans, Ice Ages to combo with your Luffys? And it really, like I say, it's really going to depend on how the meta shapes out. If we do get a lot of Bonnies into the meta, which I expect that to be the case early, going more control based seems going to be the key. So adding in, like I said, those Kuzans, Ice Ages, etc. For sure, you're either playing 3 copies of the 5-cost new Luffy that popped up 4 or less. You're either running 3 or you're running 4. And if you're running 4, you might as well just lean more towards that control style of Luffy. I do feel like, in my personal opinion, this card here, the 1000 Vote on Maru, space has to be found for it. I think this is just such an amazing card in Black Yellow Luffy, because again, so many 4-costs that would be able to be rested with that, and then that extra 3000, like, that's enough to sit there and push for games many a time. So I do feel like the Amaru still needs to be added in, while also incorporating some of those control elements that I was talking about. So I'm excited to kind of get started with, I'm going to start out with the control build, because I do feel like Bonnies will be relevant, or, very, very relevant early in the meta. So I am trying to cook up a control list for it, but that'll be the next evolution for it for me.
Just again for topping this beautiful weekend. Hey, I hope to see more of you from now on. And again, congrats. Thank you for this beautiful deck profile from you.
Oh, and before you end it out, I want to do my special shout out. So again, special shout outs to all my good buds at Uncanny Games, at Infinity Games. You guys are amazing. I'm a better player because I play you guys, so I appreciate you for that. Also, special shout out to Cake Filet. During lunchtime, he did give me a chicken sandwich that I told him that every video I did, I was going to make sure I shouted out him for the Chick-fil-A, because that came in clutch, because I had no food at that time. So that just came in absolutely clutch. So shout outs to Sage for that. I appreciate you. And last but not least, I don't believe in sponsorship, so I'm kind of hide the label, but thank you to the Omega-3 Fish Ass for the weekend. This did give me the brain power that I needed, because I'm not built for 11 rounds. Well, it ended up being 10, but I'm barely built for 10 rounds. So shout out to the Omega-3 Fish Ass vitamins. It was absolutely great. And yeah, and also, again, thanks to my amazing wife also as well. She was very, very supportive, because, Sunday we were coming back, but she was very, very supportive, was watching me as I was playing and everything like that, and drove home because I was tired and everything like that. So, shout out to her also as well. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, again, congrats. Hope to see you in Nats, bro.
Hey.
Let's go. All right. Bye.